Hey kids, welcome to Third Lord and I forgot. That was Third Lord and looks like half my brain is blew out. I can't remember. Hey, get the fuck away. It's Third Lord in the seventh house. Bitch! Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Third Lord in the Seventh House. And yes, those are my two new roommates that are going to be here hanging around for a month because of the fact Halloween is coming up on October 31st. And apparently, my wife is really big on festivities and festivals. And no matter what festival it is, whether it's something as small and unique as Halloween to Thanksgiving and especially Christmas, she wants to decorate the whole thing. So as you can see, there's my little friend Clown. There's my little friend Terminator looking thing. I don't know what you call that, but and I don't know if you can see the web. It's probably blurred right there on my painting. The web. There's gonna be outside of our house. There's all these decorations. So yeah, she's big on that. So I can't help it. So I just thought, hey, might as well incorporate them onto KRSchannel and welcome to the family of KRSchannel. All right. Oh, and I see that some of you have problem with me wearing glasses. Well, screw you, man. Okay? I'm trying these glasses on. I know I look ridiculous, but I just have to put them on because I just got my eye tested and apparently my right eye is weaker than my left eye. However, these are the first time I'm wearing glasses and I just can't seem to get it. Everything looks more blurred than what it was before. And so the doctor said wear it for a week and by then your brain will adjust to this thing and hopefully then by then I can see things clearly. I mean, I see them clearly, but I see these like just things are bending and it's making me nauseated and I gotta try it for a week. If in a week or 10 days doesn't work, man, I gotta give these away because I still see fine without glasses, but apparently I'm going for my DMV test, so I just did my test and I'm like, oh, well, my eyes are weak. Let me try glasses. Well, I mean, I really don't need it. So I don't know what will happen. I may have them for lifelong or I may not after a week or 10 days, but let's see. So, Third Lord in the seventh house. What is a third lord? Well, third lord represents your communication skills. It represents your hobbies. It represents your, not just communication skills, but your skills of doing things, working with hands, being a mechanic, being an artist, being a painter, being a designer, being a sewer. Whatever you would do with hands is represented by the third house. Third house is your house of siblings, house of neighbor and house of neighbors, house of people close around you. You know, people like your friends who be kind of like your siblings, especially your younger siblings. And then third house becomes the house of dramatic arts, meaning media, like acting, journalism, talking about what's happening locally in your cities. Okay? So when this, the planet that controls this house in your birth horoscope, when that planet goes into the seventh house, that's what we're going to discuss today. And seventh house, as you know, is a house of other people. It's a house of your spouse, house of your legal business partnership. It's a house of business itself. Okay. But pretty much it's mainly the house of your relationships. Okay. So when the third lord goes into the seventh house, shows that your communication skills are mainly focused in relationships. You need a spouse, you need a partner, you need other people to communicate with. Especially in relationship, if there's no communication happening, marriage will not work out and you will not even pursue the relationship any further if there's no communication. Your hobbies and skills are really motivated when you're in a relationship. Like, you know how some people, when they're in a relationship, suddenly they're motivated. Suddenly they feel like they want to paint, they want to write poetry, because third house also represents writing. They want to do some fun hobbies because they feel so uplifted. Well, that probably will happen when you have this in the seventh house, because things of the third house are now being expressed through the seventh house. That's what it means. So when you think of it that way, everything should become easy. Meaning that your communication and your hobby, skills, and artistic talent are being expressed in your relationship. In your relationship, you will express your artistic talent. You will express your communicative ability, perhaps writing, perhaps, singing, perhaps, swindling your other half by making some painting. But mainly it represents, your communication is being developed through relationships and through partners and just interacting with other people, because seventh house, after all, is a house of other people you interact with. Okay, third house is a house of your self efforts as well, meaning things that you put efforts in. So it shows your effort, your lot of effort are being put into your relationships and business. And this is especially a good sign of seeing somebody who has their own business, who is able to do their own business. Because now your house of self efforts is in the house of business. First, second, third, seventh, and 11th house, these are the houses you always look for somebody who wants to do business. So that's how, this third house things are expressed through the seventh house. But depending upon, like always, depending upon what planet rules your third house, it'll have some sort of a different effect when it's sitting in the seventh house. So let's discuss that. So if Sun controls your third house and that's sitting in the seventh house, what is the result of that? Well, what is Sun? Sun is your father. It represents your father, fatherly figures, represents government, represents your self-esteem, your ego, your personality. It signifies his career for a person, and including your vitality and your health. So a lot of things are represented by the Sun. So when the third Lord Sun goes into the seventh house, first of all, it shows that your siblings and people near around you, like your friends and neighbors and siblings, are really influencing the decisions of your marriage. And Sun is ego. So what this shows is a lot of ego of the siblings are being put into your relationships. Perhaps siblings have a major say in your relationship, and their ego is headbutting with the ego of your spouse. And so now you're caught up in this web of war to, rectify and resolve what's happening. And it can also show that since Sun is your father and Sun is controlling the third house, shows that your father can also be involved in your marriage decisions, can be involved in your business, can be involved in your interaction with other people. Okay, and it shows that your communication style is really full of egoistic wars. However, because of the fact Sun is in a good sign of Jupiter in this case, Sun will act more spiritual. Sun will act more sattvic. So although there will be some significant that are burning up in the seventh house, a lot of ego is being involved. Development of personality is really depending upon your partner now. However, you still can get a very spiritual partner, or you will interact with people of higher knowledge and spirituality and religious background a lot in your life. But you got to see this also. If you always have to see the dispositor of the planet. So if Jupiter is debilitated, then Sun will not be strong. Sun will be weak. Sun will bring a lot of ego and, too high of a self-esteem in your partner, and you're going to be putting a lot of effort into your marriage. Let's say Moon. Moon controls your third house, and Moon goes into the seventh house. What this shows is that your mind, and since Moon represents your mind, your mother, your peace of mind, the way you think, and obviously is ruling the third house, it shows your relationship with your siblings are the cause that of ruining your partnerships and your relationships and even marriage. Perhaps your siblings really force themselves and butt into your relationships. You have this really, depressive and traumatizing and transformative, situation in your relationship and interaction with other people, where no matter how much effort you put in, things just don't work out, and you feel like your thinking pattern always depends on the opinions of others. It can also show that your mother was involved with other people, meaning that she was also into business. She could have been involved in business in foreign lands. Okay. However, your mother was also influencing your personality, because from the seventh house, moon is looking into the first house and is controlling the third house. So it shows your communication and your mind and your peace of mind is really being developed through your siblings and your spouse and your mother. So all these things are coming together. However, all of these three are now into turmoil because moon is debilitated, especially if it's in the first 6 degrees, especially in the first 2 degrees. So it shows that your peace of mind is dependent upon others and your spouse, yet you just can't seem to find it because of the fact moon is debilitated. If Mercury controls your third house, sits in the seventh house, it shows that your communication and your ability to, do business, your ability to communicate with other people really depends upon your interaction with your spouse, interaction with your business partner and other people. You are a person who really wants to go out and interact with other people, meaning that your business will not happen unless you interact with other people. And this can really show an interest in acting, designing, business of art. You can be as an art dealer, you can be a businessman of selling paintings, but it'll always show a very business-minded person who has the intellect to deal with people, and through their creativity, they're able to do business. Because Mercury, again, originally signifies the third house. And when it sits in the seventh house, it shows that Mercury is bringing his business skills into the house of business. So really, this is a very strong indication of doing business. Now, if Venus controls your third house and sits in the seventh house, it could be quite a mixed result. Okay, Venus could be debilitated here. Okay, or Venus can be in a neutral sign. So that's how you really have to see which sign Venus is sitting in. Because of the fact, if Venus is what? Venus is your ability to form relationships. It represents spouse for both men and women. It represents wife in a man's chart. It represents your artistic skills. It represents your dramatic or like acting skills. It shows your ability to express yourself and experience pleasure through things. So what this can show that either you will express your artistic talent through your spouse, meaning your spouse will be involved in development of your artistic skills, development of your relationship skills. Your spouse will help you to develop relationship skills. Spouse will help you gain a conveniency in your life, because Venus also is a significator of a conveniency. But it also shows that you may have to put a lot of effort into your marriage, and you may not be so satisfied after all, even after putting so much effort in marriage, if Venus is debilitated in the seventh house. It'll show that you'll get a very realistic partner who may not be about romance, who may not be about this sensual pleasure, but will be about very calculative things. Will be about, going and focusing on certain things. In a relationship, it's not all about, roses and romance and traveling. It may be about just kids, finance, and accounting and paying taxes, and you'll feel trapped. You will be like, I'm not able to artistically express myself. And the debilitated Venus in the seventh house can also show a lack of passion, sexual passion in a relationship. If, let's say, Mars controls your third house and goes into the seventh house, well, Mars is what? Mars is your fighting ability. Mars is your energy. Mars is your self-efforts again, where you put your efforts. Mars is your ability to go out and put your energy into something. And Mars is competition. Mars is a very fiery planet. It's a soldier. So what this shows is that Mars can show that your communication with your spouse is very crude, to the point. It's like there's power struggle when you are dealing with your spouse. Whenever you have to put effort, you have to put effort in a way where either you are communicating in a very harsh and brash way, or you might actually be doing something with your hands, which can also represent domestic violence in some cases. So you just have to see, what sign Mars controls, which will go later on. But it shows that but it shows a very sexual person too, because third, seventh, eighth, and 12th house are very sexual houses. So it also shows you're very passionate and sexual in relationships. Now, if Mars is well placed, Mars receives aspects of Jupiter, there'll be a lot of passion, energy in the marriage. But if Mars is alone or receives any malefic aspects, then it shows that your marriage is just full of effort, full of work. Your wife may curse at you, you may curse at your wife, because the communication is becoming really shrewd and crude and just, full of hatred and fire. Okay, let's say Jupiter controls your third house and Jupiter sits in the seventh house. Well, when Jupiter sits in the seventh house, it can show that Jupiter, first of all, is a very benefic planet. It represents finance, it represents higher knowledge, it represents your postgrad education, spirituality, it represents your gurus. So it shows that if it's controlling your third house and going into the seventh house, shows that your spouse, your communication with the spouse will be very spiritual. Your communication of the spouse will be full of like higher wisdom. Your spouse may actually be in an engineering industry. I didn't want to go into the spouse's profession, but it can represent that because of the fact I had last week somebody with Jupiter in the sign of Aries whose spouse was an engineer. So that's why my brain runs, it just remembers. But Jupiter can signify a spouse who will help you achieve money and prosperity in your life through business. You may be in a joint venture, joint partnership with your spouse. And Jupiter obviously is a significator of finance. And in the house of efforts, in the house of business, shows your money and finance can really develop if you get yourself into business or get yourself into doing business with your partner as well. But a partner is very good, very spiritual. There's a lot of knowledge being learned with a partner. And let's say if Saturn controls your third house and Saturn goes into the seventh house, what happens? Well, if Saturn controls your third house goes into the seventh house, shows that your marriage could also be delayed. Your partner will perhaps be of a older age, mature age. Your partner can also be from a family of farmers because third house represents the harvesting of the fourth house, meaning that third house is the effort that the farmer puts in the fourth house, which is land. So, and Saturn represents farmers. Saturn represents, all those manual workers. It represents the masses pretty much. Masses who are out there working hard. And Saturn is working hard. Efforts, organization, structure. So Saturn will say you're going to have to put a lot of effort in your marriage. And your marriage will be long lasting. Saturn is not the karaka of divorce. Never think that. So if you have Saturn as a third lord in the seventh house, don't think you're going to have a divorce. Saturn is actually very good in the seventh house, which I found out in my own experience. It prolongs the marriage because Saturn is a slow-moving planet. However, Saturn is a natural malefic. So Saturn is going to show that you're going to have a lot of effort into maintaining your business and your marriage and spouse and dealing with other people. Meaning that there won't be so much of a romance unless influence of Venus is there, but your marriage will be very disciplined, focused on realistic things. How to raise children. We need to budget. Is there enough food in the fridge for everyone? Is there enough money in the bank during the rainy day? Your spouse can be in a very mechanical industry. Your spouse could be in a government industry, or not industry, but in government. Or your spouse can be in iron steel industry. But mainly it represents that you will have to put forth a lot of effort into keep your marriage working. But Saturn has full directional strength in the seventh house. So after a while, once you have put enough efforts in your marriage, the marriage will blossom, the business will blossom, interaction with other people will blossom. And Saturn always starts going quicker after the age of 36, 35. Because that's when Saturn really, especially 35, because 3 plus 5 equals 8. Saturn controls number 8 in numerology, okay? And after 35, it shows that the person has matured. But because there's these different ages that the person goes through. So Saturn becomes really alive in the age of 35 when you're realistic about things and responsible about things. So guys, this is my analysis of third lord in the seventh house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your third lord is placed, and if it's in the seventh house, or if you want to learn all the things about astrology in the most detailed manner, for that, check out the links below. Check out my books there, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light. And your full astrology report is also available on my website below, or here on the sign you can click. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.